Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvisesha Sanyavadi Pastratadesha. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So good morning. Thank you for coming. It's good to be back in beautiful ISKCON Newtown. What is so beautiful about ISKCON Newtown? All of you. It's beautiful to see devotional service. You're reflecting the love of Gaur Nitai and mercy of Gaur Nitai. So just like a mirror reflects, you're reflecting their beauty. When we're engaged in devotional service, we are beautiful because devotional service is beautiful. So today's class is on 10th Canto, Chapter 81, text 29 through 34. Is that right? So which verse are we going to chant together? 34? So I'll chant the first few verses and read the translations, and then we'll chant verse 34 together. Paya pena nivaya swatsaya danta rukma parichaditaha paryanka hemadannadi dandi chamra vyak jani janani cha asanani cha haimani mridu pastharanan nanicha muktad atma vilambini vitanani yu manticha swacha stapita kudeshu mahamara kateshu cha ratnadipan parajam manam balanda ratna samyuta bilokya brahmanans tatra samrid dihi sarva sambadam tarkayam asa nirvagra swasamridam ahaitukam. Translation. In Sudama's home were beds as soft and white as the foam of milk, with bedsteads made of ivory and ornamented with gold. There were also couches with golden legs, as well as royal chamra fans, golden thrones, soft cushions, and gleaming canopies hung with strings of pearls. Upon the walls of sparkling crystal glass, inlaid with precious emeralds, shone jeweled lamps, and the women in the palace were all adorned with precious gems. As he viewed this luxurious opulence of all varieties, the Brahmana calmly reasoned to himself about it's his unexpected prosperity. So before I go to the next verse, we all know the story, but it's nice to always talk about it, isn't it? So Sudama Brahman had gone to visit Lord Krishna. His wife had encouraged him. They were so poor that they had nothing to eat. They could barely keep body and soul together. So his wife encouraged Sudama, why don't you go see your friend Krishna? He will help you. Why, Krishna is all-powerful. He has everything. Krishna will help you. So Sudama said, but I have to take something to Krishna. I can't just go. But they had absolutely nothing. So they went to beg from the neighbors. Can you give me something? Please give me something that I can take to Krishna. So the only thing that they could beg from their neighbors were poor too, was a little bit of chipped rice. And so Sudama wrapped it in a cloth and put it in his waistband, rolled it up in his dhoti, and he went to see Krishna. So when he went to see Krishna, Krishna greeted him, bathed his feet, treated him like his dear friend. They are dear friends. And Sudama felt like, I don't want to ask Krishna for something. I want to serve Krishna. My position is not to ask from Krishna. I want to serve him. So he wasn't going to offer the chipped rice. He's thinking, this is too low class for Krishna to begin with. Why? To offer Krishna some paltry chipped rice that I begged? That's just not proper. But Krishna, knowing his mind, said, oh, what is this? What is this that you have brought for me? You have some surprise for me. And Sudama is saying, oh, no, it's nothing, Krishna. Krishna says, no, you're hiding it from me. Please give me that valuable gift. So he forced Sudama to give him this little cloth with some chipped rice. And so Krishna looked. He said, this is so wonderful. And Krishna started to eat it. The goddess of fortune said, that's enough, Krishna. You don't need to eat any more. You've eaten enough. And so they went on and visited very sweetly together, as loving friends do, spending time together, just remembering their childhood days. And so then Sudama left Krishna to go back home. So he's concerned. Thank you. Sorry to put you through the trouble, but I forgot mine. My throat is a little dry, so I have to take some. So when he's returning home, he's thinking, oh, my wife is going to chastise me. We begged this chipped rice to give to Krishna, and I'm supposed to ask Krishna for some money to help us. But I just didn't want to ask my friend for anything. My wife is going to be upset with me. She will chastise, but it's okay. So this is the description of what he saw when he went into what used to be his house. The old house is gone. And now is this big, beautiful palace with gardens. Beds as soft and white as the foam on milk. Can you imagine that? Couches with golden legs. Chandeliers with strings of pearls. And it says that the walls are made of sparkling clear crystal glass. Can you imagine the opulence? And they're inlaid with precious emeralds. So the walls are sparkling clear crystal, inlaid with emeralds. Incredible, isn't it? Who would think of something like that? I wonder, does Bill Gates have a house like that? What's the guy that owns Tesla? Elon Musk? He probably has a house like that, yes? No. He can't, his imagination can't even go that far. But Krishna can. So, on to the next verse. Nunam baitam mama durgabasa saswat darasa samriddhi hetu mahavibhutar avalo katonya naivo papadyeta yadut tamasya. Translation. Sudama thought, I have always been poor. Certainly the only possible way that such an unfortunate person as myself could become suddenly rich is that Lord Krishna, the supremely opulent chief of the Yadu dynasty, has glanced upon me. Notice the way he put that. He didn't say that somehow or other Lord Krishna has wrote a big check or sent a lot of money through PayPal or delivered a lot of gold. He's saying, my good fortune is that somehow or other Lord Krishna has glanced upon me. Now this is something to ponder, isn't it? Just to get the glance of Krishna is the greatest wealth. We can't even imagine the greatness of the wealth of Krishna's glance. Can you imagine? Can you imagine Krishna turning his head and looking at you? He stops and stares at you. That's amazing, huh? Sometimes we find when we go to certain temples that once in a while the deities, usually the deity, Krishna's playing his flute, and he's looking here and he's looking there. Sometimes you go into the temple and that same deity, he's looking right at you. Have you noticed? So sometimes we get the glance of Krishna, and that's all good fortune. It's when we say it's all good fortune, we don't even know what that means. What do you think is good fortune? Lots of money, fame, adoration, distinction. We don't know what good fortune is, do we? We can only think of quote unquote good fortune in terms of material opulences, things that we can perceive through our senses. Material opulence is great when it smells good, feels good, sounds good, tastes good, feels good. Wait a minute, I just ran out of ways to perceive, didn't I? We only perceive things through our 5 senses. What a vast limitation. So, but how do we perceive love? Not through the senses, is it? It's through the heart. Why is it through the heart? Because that's where you live, the soul. Love is soul to soul. When I love you, my soul is touching your soul. Therefore, we feel it in the heart region. It's not this mass of muscle that's pumping blood, you know. It's the heart, which is where you and super soul live. There's an exchange of love going on between you and super soul. Therefore, I feel it in my heart. So the devotee can understand this. Those who are not spiritually intelligent, they have no knowledge of this. They think this muscle that's pumping blood feels good. You see? Sudama thought, I have always been poor. Certainly the only possible way that such an unfortunate person as myself could have become suddenly rich is that Lord Krishna, the supremely opulent chief of the Yadu dynasty, has glanced upon me. Okay, so today's verse. Is there any way we could turn just this fan, just that one fan off? Nanma Bruce Vanu Disate Samakam Nanwa Bruce Bruvano Disate Samaksham Vachishnave Bur Yapi Buri Boja Arjanya Vatat Swayam Ikshamano Daraharakanam Rishabhasakame Nanva Bruvano Disata Samaksham Vakshishnave Buryapi Buri Bojaha Parijanyavatat Swayamikam Ikshamano Dara Hakanam Rishabha Sakame Nan Vabruvano Disate Samaksam Vakshishnave Buri Api Buri Boja Varjanyavatat Swayamik Shamano Darar Dasara Hakanam Rishabha Sakame Nanu. After all, Abruvanaha, not speaking, Dishate, he has given, Samaksham, in his presence, Bhakshishnave, to him who was intending to beg. Buri, plentiful wealth. Api, even. Buri, of plentiful wealth. Bojha, the enjoyer. Parijayavat, like a cloud. Tat, that. Swayam, himself. Ikshamanam, seeing. The Dashakanam, of the descendants of King Dashartha, Rishab, the most exalted, Sakha, friend, me, my. Translation. After all, my friend Krishna, the most exalted of the Dasharas and enjoyer of unlimited wealth, noticed that I secretly intended to beg from him. Thus, even though he said nothing about it when I stood before him, he actually bestowed upon me the most abundant riches. In this way, he acted just like a merciful rain cloud. So I say, and you can repeat. After all, my friend Krishna, the most exalted of the Dasharas and the enjoyer of unlimited wealth, noticed that I secretly intended to beg from him. Thus, even though he said nothing about it when I stood before him, he actually bestowed upon me the most abundant riches. In this way, he acted just like a merciful rain cloud. Purport. Sri Krishna is Bhuriboja, the unlimited enjoyer. He did not tell Sudama how he was going to fulfill his unspoken request because, according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, he was thinking at the time, my dear friend has given me these nice grains of rice, which are greater than all the treasures that I own, even though in his own house he had no such gift to bring me. He took the trouble of begging it from a neighbor. Therefore, it is only proper that I give him something more valuable than all of my possessions. But nothing is equal or greater to that, greater than what I possess. So all I can do is give him such meager things as all the treasures of India, all the treasures of Indra, Brahma, and other demigods. Embarrassed at being unable to properly reciprocate his devotees' offering, Lord Krishna bestowed his favor on the Brahmana silently. The Lord acted just like a magnanimous rain cloud, which provides the necessities of life for everyone, near and far, but feels ashamed that its reign is too insignificant a gift to give in return for the abundant offerings that farmers make to it. Out of shame, the cloud may wait until nighttime when the farmers are asleep before watering their fields. The chiefs of the Dasara clan with whom Krishna was identified in this verse were especially renowned for their generosity. Om Agyan Timarindasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mayam Dadanti Swapadantikam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Go Pesha Gopeka Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radha Brindavaneshwari Brisha Bandhustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, this is, as they say, the rest of the story. Sudama was no ordinary person. He's not dealing in karmakanda. He's not thinking that I do something and I get something in return. I'll go to Krishna and I'll perform some pious act and Krishna will reward me with some great wealth. So to such a person, such a Brahmin as Sudama, great wealth could have been a bag of gold, right? If Krishna had said on the way out, my servant is going to give you a bag of gold, small bag of gold like that, Sudama would have felt, oh, this is great wealth. I mean, he had nothing, you see. So he didn't have any conception of what great wealth was. He wasn't coming to Krishna for any reward, but to speak of great wealth. I mean, if Krishna had given him one gold coin, then he and his wife would have been very satisfied. If that's it, if he had gone to Krishna and said, hi, Krishna, how are you? It's good to see you. We had some fun times together when we were growing up. By the way, can you spare me a couple of dollars? You got any rupees? Can you give me a couple of rupees? You know, Krishna might have said, sure, here, take this. You know, but that's not the case. Sudama wanted to go and share love with his beloved friend, Lord Krishna. That's it. The wife wanted him to go. Use that resource. Krishna is a great resource. He is wealthy. We are poor. In some parts of the southern United States, people say that we are too poor. We're so poor that we can't pay attention. Does that make any sense? We can't pay attention? Yeah, it's supposed to be funny, but I guess it's not. Sometimes jokes are funnier when they're not funny, yes? So, but they were in that category. They were so poor. They were so poor, not only did they have very little to offer Krishna, they had nothing. They had to go to a neighbor and beg something that they didn't have to offer Krishna. And then Sudama thought, I don't want to give this to Krishna. First of all, this is too low class an offering for Krishna. And secondly, I don't want Krishna to think that now he's indebted to me. You gave me a gift, so I have to give you a gift. You gave me a gift of some chipped rice. All right, here's a handful of gold coins. You know, he didn't want to have that relationship with Krishna. What is he looking for from Krishna? He wants Krishna's love, and he wants to give his love to Krishna. He wants to do some service to Krishna, because when you feel love for someone, don't you want to serve them? That's just natural, isn't it? You want to do something for someone when you love them. I mean, it's one thing to say good things about them. And you can say, I love you, I love this person, I love him, I love her, I love. But to actually do something to demonstrate that love, well, that's a different level. That's a higher level. So Sudama wanted to exchange his love with Krishna. He wanted to feel Krishna's love, and he wanted Krishna to feel his love. Why? If he could have, he would have given Krishna this marvelous palace, even if it left him with nothing. The devotee is always ready to give everything to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada said that many times. Everything for Krishna. That's not a karma kanda statement. That is a bhakti yoga statement. Everything for Krishna. You see? The karmakandi may think, but why should I give Krishna everything? He already has everything. Why don't I give him a little bit and have him give me a lot? That's business, yes? They want to do business, have a business exchange with Krishna. That's pious. At least they recognize that there is a God and he's the source of everything. So that's pious, but it's not bhakti. And so I find it very interesting that this is a revelation of Krishna's personality. Krishna wanted to do this quietly. Krishna doesn't need to brag. He already knows he's the supreme, first and foremost, without a second. So he doesn't have to do anything to make him feel good. He always feels good. He's the source of feeling good. Why, he's always feeling good. If you get close to him, you start to feel good. So he doesn't have to artificially pump himself up and convince himself that he's a really good guy. Huh? In the material world, sometimes people will give some charity because it makes them feel good about themselves. They'll have a feel-good moment, and that's pious. See? So, but Krishna, he wanted to do this quietly. He accepted the chipped rice. He had loving exchange with his dear friend and said nothing, knowing that when you go home, my dear Sudama, you're going to be so surprised at what I've given you. And then Krishna starts to feel that what I've given you is nothing. All of this description of this fabulous palace, we can't even imagine it, can we? I mean, I'm trying to picture these walls of crystal inlaid with emeralds. And the ladies are all wearing valuable jewels. Are you wearing valuable jewels? No? Well, let's imagine that you are. And the wall is crystal, emeralds. The couches have golden legs. You know, the beds are white like the foam on milk. We can't even imagine it, can we? Krishna gave him the combined wealth of Indra, Brahma, and all of the demigods. And he considered this nothing. He felt bad because I couldn't give you more. Because you gave me more than what you had. You gave me more than what you could afford. You didn't have anything. You went and begged something to give me something. So that is beyond giving me everything. You're giving me everything plus what the neighbor will give you. I can't do that. I cannot equal your offering. This is the consciousness of loving Krishna. Krishna as your loving friend. This is the way Krishna sees things. Krishna doesn't see it like, well, you gave me a handful of chipped rice and I gave you a big palace. So you owe me, buddy. I want you over here every Saturday morning washing my car. Send your wife to do the dishes and wash my clothes. No, Krishna is thinking, I can't equal what you gave me. Now that is love talking. That is the logic of love. When love is so deep and not affected by any material modes. It's just pure love direct from Krishna. I can't equal what you give me. You see? Because I have everything. I have unlimited. I can't go beyond my limit. You went beyond your limit of what you could give. I can't do that. So I am totally in your debt. So this is the way Krishna's thinking. He's not puffed up thinking, hey, I'm Krishna. What's with this chipped rice? Why did you bring me this? I think I'm going to have to put you in jail for a day or two and feed you chipped rice and see how you like it. Security, put him in jail. Chipped rice, just a little for days, weeks, months. Okay, 1 month. No. Krishna is like, he's touched. He's touched by his love, which is all Krishna wants from you. He doesn't ask anything else. He just wants you to love him. He's not asking you to do something that you're not capable of doing, because that is really all you're good at doing, loving Krishna. When you're loving Krishna, you are, as they say, in your zone. You know what that means? You're in the zone, and that you're in your realm of potency. You, the Jivatma. That is what you are good at. That's what you are best at more than anything. Loving Krishna and demonstrating that love in devotional service. That is what you do. That is what you are. You're a professional at it. Well, you're the best. That is you in your original consciousness. In our consciousness as we sit here today, although you've made tremendous spiritual advancement, you still can't understand that, can we? We're getting there. We're starting to understand that. We think, well, there's so many things that I have to do for me. There's so many things I need to do to help the planet. Why, there's so many things I need to do to help this and to help that. No, there's only one thing that you need to do, and that is reconnect with your loving feeling for Krishna. You've lost that loving feeling. You need to get back into what you do best. This is what you are an expert at. You were made to do this, to love Krishna and demonstrate that love by serving him without any consideration of anything in exchange. That is the position of all of us living entities. We're all parts and parcels of Krishna. This love that's being demonstrated by Krishna for his friend Sudama is Krishna's nature. And you are part and parcel of this Krishna's nature. You are like this too. This is describing your ability to love and the way that you should love. You're part and parcel of Krishna too. You see? The way Krishna treats his friends is the way you should treat your friends. Why should you be any different than the original source? Your original source. Why should you be any? How could you possibly be any different? Only in your consciousness. The consciousness gets affected by your contact with the material energy, so therefore you're thinking yourself part of this material energy, and that pushes you away from your consciousness of being a lover of Krishna and a servant of Krishna, and a lover of all living entities and a servant of all living entities. That's all. We just need to get that back. It belongs to you. It's yours. Nothing can take it away from you except you. And you can get it back with the help of Guru, Param Guru, Krishna, Sadhu, Shastra, devotional service, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I heard that some of the brahmacharis are a little sick. Is there some sickness? Yeah, I believe it, because you're chanting kind of sick. Now let's do that again and kind of put some muscle into it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now that was impressive. Feel better? I do too. All right, I think I've got just a few minutes for some questions or comments. No questions? Ah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for this class. Prabhu, you are telling that Krishna does not want us to do anything which we are unable to do. But in conditioned state, if we don't take up the trouble to purify ourselves, then we may not be able to appreciate Krishna's love and our love for him. So, like many times I feel that should I take up the trouble of doing more devotion service and intense devotion service, or should I just keep it easy because it is too difficult for me? So,
excellent question. Let us not artificially do devotional service. We don't want to do it artificially. We have to do it with love. We have to do it as an offering of love. We have to include your spiritual master in this. The spiritual master has to be included in all of this love to Krishna. You see? So now, once we start to do it as an offering of love to Guru and Krishna, well, you may end up doing a lot more devotional service, driven by this love. When we do something in love, it's, even though it may be a very difficult task, it becomes much easier, driven by love. If we're driven by, I should try harder, I should do more service because I want to advance, that doesn't have the sweet taste of love. It's like, how easy is it to eat a gulab jamun? Huh? Now, it's because it's really sweet, isn't it? And you pop it. But what if it was not so sweet? Maybe a little salty. Then you eat it a little at a time. See? So I'm going to do devotional service because I want to advance. No. Devotional service is a gulab jamun. Pop it. Love it. Don't do it as a chore. Someone says, after the Sunday feast, the guest left some garbage on the yard. Would you pick it up? Would you clean it up? Well, but it's starting to rain. I know it's starting to rain, but we need somebody to pick it up. Will you clean up Gornitai's yard, because they look right out the window and they see all this garbage. And you're like, okay, yes, I'll do it. Why didn't you get him to do it? Why, I'm more senior than him. Don't you know that I'm a senior guy? This is the thanks I get for distributing so many books and being so senior. I have to go out there in the rain and pick up the garbage. And look at him. What's he doing? He's sitting there reading. Now, is that loving, devotional service? No, it's a chore. You may say, all right, I'll do it. Because maybe if I do it, I'll make some advancement. It's very nice that you do the chore, but if you want the advancement, you got to mix in a little bit of love. Make it loving and devotional service, not just service. You ever notice that we have a tendency to separate that? People say, hey, would you like to do some service? You should immediately say, well, I would prefer some loving devotional service. Can I do some of that? Yeah, whatever you want. But I need somebody to pick up the garbage out of the yard out there. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to love it. Because I know my Lord here. He's going to be pleased. I'll please Gornitai. And it's not even necessary that they see that it's me that's doing it. I just want to do it so that they can see their nice, clean yard out there. I want them to be happy. It's not like, well, the curtains are closed right now. They won't be able to see me picking up the garbage. So maybe I'll wait. I'll wait until they open the curtains, and then I'll go, look at me, Gornitai. Is that loving devotional service? No, no. No, loving devotional service means you see the yard. Your authority says that yard needs to be cleaned up. You see it and you immediately comply. Yes, it does. Why? For the benefit of the Lord. Gornitai shouldn't see this. This is a privilege. Loving devotional service. Not even considering that you're going to make some advancement. That doesn't matter. Because if you do the service in a loving, devotional way, there is your advancement. You're already advanced because you will do it in a loving, devotional way and not just do it. It's very nice to do it. We can hire people to do it. Are they going to make advancement? No, but maybe a little bit, because they're actually walking on ground that the devotees walk on. But no, there's no loving, devotional attitude. Take out the loving, devotional attitude, and you don't have bhakti yoga. So you don't get the return, do you? If you go into it wanting the return of advancement, that's not bhakti. You see? We're rascals, aren't we? We've been in this material world so long, we've learned how to be expert rascals. Well, even when it comes to devotional service. Well, I'll do it because I'll get some advancement. Yeah, that's true, but that's not loving. You got to want to do it. And you don't necessarily need to be seen doing it. And you don't expect anything for it. You do it because that's what should be done, because you are feeling love for Gaur-Nitai. You're feeling love for Gaur-Nitai's servants. You're feeling love for Gaur-Nitai's home. You see? Is that a good answer?
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for a beautiful class. Prabhuji, in this episode we find Acharya's comment that there are two kinds of devotees. One devotee is he averse to sense gratification, dislikes the sense gratification, and the other one is indifferent to it. So Vishwanath Thakur, he gives example of Bharata Maharaj, Jada Bharata, who was averse to sense gratification, and Prahlad Maharaj is indifferent to sense gratification. So Krishna reciprocates with the different devotees differently. Here, the case of Sudama, he had been averse to any kind of sense gratification, and therefore he had been so poor. But now Krishna wants to give him everything. How to understand this? Because you find the similar example of Shrutadeva, who was also poor like Sudama. And when Krishna goes to Mithila, he goes to him and he does simple reception to Krishna in his house. And he remains as poor as he was. So how to understand the case of Sudama, where Krishna is forcefully giving him the riches to enjoy.
What Krishna is giving Sudama is not based on sense gratification. That's hard to understand because this palace sounds like something to enjoy, right? I mean, you could just go be there and enjoy, couldn't you? If it was about sense gratification. Krishna was not gratifying his senses. That was not his intention. Krishna was just returning Sudama's love. You see? You've loved me. You've been my friend. Why, you gave me more than you had. And I want to show my love for you by giving you all of this, knowing that Sudama is not going to use it for sense gratification. Now that some people may argue that. How is that even possible? That he won't use this for sense gratification. Why, every time he looks at these beautiful walls and the floors and the couches with gold legs, what do you think he's going to think of? Krishna. By every breath he takes in that place is going to remind him of Krishna. Every time he sees the ladies with beautiful jewels and those beautiful chamras, everything, all of this scene that we see here, every bit of this is going to remind him of Krishna. Think about it. Wouldn't it remind you of Krishna if Krishna gave you something like that? So what Krishna gave him was not material. It cannot be measured in material worth. It's not wealth, material wealth. Although it's made, there's so much gold, ivory, jewels. There's so much of that, but none of it is material wealth. It's all pure spiritual love of Godhead. And so just think of what he's done. He's given Sudama not a blessing of material wealth that will make him comfortable so that he can enjoy a nice couch with gold legs and probably a big TV, big television with a gold remote control. So Sudama can sit back on the couch, click, click, click. Maybe once in a while he'll think of Krishna. If his team wins the football game on the big screen TV, he'll think, oh, Krishna, Haribo. No, if it was material wealth, it would be like that. No, Krishna gave him the blessing of not only showing him his love, but along with that, I'm going to give you the opportunity to surround you in a world that everything you look at is going to remind you of me. So therefore, you're going to be thinking of me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. When you lay down on that bed, you're going to think of me. You see? So there's a difference. It's not a material offering.
Because we do understand that the opulence what Krishna gave to Sudama was purely spiritual opulence. It was not the material opulence what Krishna gave to Sudama. However, and we also understand that it was not meant for the material sense gratification, but the spiritual sense gratification. It was the pure enjoyment what Sudama will receive with this opulence where Krishna has given to him. My question was, Prabhuji, that we see different reciprocation with regard to Sudama and different reciprocation with regard to Shrutadeva, the Brahmana of Mithila. So how is that the both are poor Brahmanas and both have no desire to take anything? In one case, Krishna is giving all the spiritual opulence to enjoy spiritually in pure way, and in the other case, the Brahmana remains poor as it is.
What's that?
The Brahmana remains poor. Shrutadeva Brahmana remains poor.
In the what? Huh? Yes. Because it's different circumstance. It really is a different circumstance. Now, Krishna didn't have to give Sudama all of this wealth for him to remember Krishna all the time. How did Sudama interpret what Krishna had given him? He only saw it as his glance. Krishna gave me his glance. You see? Do you think that if Krishna was in a room full of people and he suddenly turned and looked you in the eye, is that enough for you to always remember him and never forget him? Huh? Does there have to be any material with it? No. So this ultimate blessing of I'll give you something that will allow you to always remember me and never forget me doesn't have to be wealth. In this case, it was. Why? Because Krishna wanted to do it like that. You gave me more than you had. I have to try to give you more than I have, even though that's not possible, because I love you. But that's no more valuable than Krishna's glance. Or if Krishna had given you one jewel, what if you caught Krishna's glance and he said, come here. And you come up and Krishna takes one jewel off of his necklace and he gives it to you. Just one, small one. And you accept it. Will you always remember Krishna and never forget him because of that one small jewel? You see? So Krishna doesn't have to give us anything but his glance for us to always remember. His blessing. You see? We're always asking for blessings, but we're drowning in blessings. Krishna is covering us up with blessings at every minute. So Krishna's blessing does not have to be, nor can it be measured by material value. Does that make any sense? The material value means nothing. Does that answer your question?
So if I understand what you are saying, Prabhuji, that for Sudama, Krishna felt like giving, and for Shrutadeva Brahmana, he felt like not giving. But in both cases, Krishna gave the glance of love.
Yes.
Okay, thank
exactly.
you. Thank you.
We should contemplate we should wonder, what is it that Krishna will give you when you go home? And if you start thinking, well, I want a big, big palace like Sudama's, then you're probably not going to go home anytime soon. So what's the right answer? If Krishna looked at you and said, I'll give you anything, what would you like? Anything. What do you want? Ladies, if Krishna asked you, I'll give you anything, what would you tell Krishna that you want? Huh? Yeah. But even more than that, I want you, Krishna. Krishna, you said I can have anything. Yes, I did. Then you are mine. I accept you, Krishna. Now you are mine. I am yours, but you are mine. You gave yourself to me. So that's the perfect thing. That's all I want. Now, why do I want you? The why is important. It's not because I'll have a full bank account always if I have Krishna, or the latest technology, or good looks. No, I'll have you so I can personally serve you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Ever, forever, I have you and I can serve you constantly. And I can see you. I can see you smile. So that's on the bhakti side. There's a kind of a line between the bhakti side and the material side. Did somebody else have a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhuji, you were telling about that we should act always for pleasing Krishna, and we should not think about our own advancement in devotional service. When we do any service, our main motive is to do loving devotional service. But we see that many devotees and even Srila Prabhupada emphasize a lot on doing tapasya to advance in devotional service, or doing some austerities, taking some steps. And Prabhupada writes again and again in his purports that if we do this, then we will advance in devotional service. So
If we do this what?
if we do this particular thing like waking up early in the morning or attending Mangal Aarti, we will advance in devotional service. So how to basically get a clear idea, basically, because we hear always many devotees saying this word, advancing in devotional service, advancing in devotional service. And if we stop thinking about our advancement in devotional service, then like it was a little confusing for me that how to stop thinking about advancing in devotional service.
Well, in the beginning, when we're just a little attracted to this philosophy, we have to tell you about this wonderful place, Godhead. This is where God lives. This is your home, and you should go home. And I'm enticing you to think, yes, I want to go there. I want to chant this Hare Krishna because I want to go there to this wonderful place. So there's a little bit of fruitive consciousness there. That's normal because you're a fruitive living entity when you meet the devotees. I work, you pay. If I do something, I get something in return. So in the beginning, I've got to tell you, yes, you will go home, and you will. And so you're driven by that desire. But at some point, you'll just want the service. When you get enough of a taste of loving devotional service, you just want to do the service. You have no need for desire for liberation. You don't need liberation. What would you do with it? If you're engaged in loving devotional service, you're already liberated. You're already liberated. You may change bodies and go to another planet in the material world and continue loving devotional service. You've already got the ultimate goal. We start to realize that the ultimate goal isn't to enjoy Krishna's home as my home. The ultimate joy is to please Krishna, to cause Krishna to enjoy, to enhance his ecstasy. That's the ultimate goal. And not that I do it for pleasure, but it gives me more pleasure than anything. But we can't think like that in the beginning. You see? It'll be a while before we're able to think like that. That's okay. It's a good answer.
It said that lolyam api, that we need that intense eagerness. If we want to attain Krishna's lotus feet, then we need that intense eagerness. So that intense eagerness is also a part of loving devotional service, or it is a desire to advance?
Yeah. Intense eagerness. An intense realization that no matter what, I desire to do my service. I have a desire to do this. In the scenario that I was talking about earlier, that let's say after a festival, the yard is full of garbage, the temple president or the temple management shouldn't have to ask anybody to clean it up. Any one of you that sees it should think, oh, I've got to get that up. I can't leave that there. I don't want Gordon Tye to have to see this. Now that's kind of sounding like a perfect world, doesn't it? It's amazing how it's like having children, you know. Children can mess up. They can go into the kitchen and mess things up. Mothers, you know this. Children can make a mess in the kitchen, yes? And they don't even see it. You can say, how come you left this here and you left that there? Huh? They didn't even see it. Because they're not lovingly devoted to their mother's kitchen. It's not my kitchen. I don't clean it up. She cleans it up. You see? When we're lovingly devoted to Krishna's property, we will see something that needs to be done. We don't say it's not my job. Sometimes I'm walking with some ISKCON leader. As we're walking across the grounds, there'll be a little piece of paper on the ground. And I've seen them bend over and pick it up, put it in their pocket, without even thinking about it. Why? This is Krishna's yard. I'm Krishna's servant. So we will think like that as our love becomes a little bit more and more mature. We'll think like that. We'll want everything to be nice for Krishna. Something gets broken, we want to fix it right away. I believe this Prabhu here had a question. Did you have a question?
Prabhu, I was asking that you told that we should feel add in some love, feel. So, like I'm getting answers. My question is, we cannot immediately feel love in our conditioned state. We may think, try to force ourselves to think that yes, I'm eternal part and parcel of the Lord. It's like much on the mental level, not feeling exactly. Especially if we are in diseased condition or some problem is there in the body, then that service becomes very difficult to think that it is. So my question is, uh, how are we supposed to put that love, because you cannot feel it? So do we have to mentally adjust our mind, or how is it supposed to be done?
We just always have to remember that this process of devotional service works. It really, really works. What I mean is that if you perform it, it will purify you. So Krishna is so kind that even though it's great austerity, why, it's great sweetness at the same time. What is the greatest austerity in the material world? Chanting Hare Krishna. That's the austerity of the age. You see? But yet, isn't it sweet? So it's austere, but there's a taste. So that taste allows us to do something that ultimately we become attached to. The taste gives an attraction. And there are so many things that are mixed in with devotional service. The association of the devotees, helping each other advance. There's always prasadam, kirtan, harinam. Why, to a non-devotee, harinam is a big austerity. Who wants to go running around in the square in the heat? Well, the devotees do, and they get great enjoyment from it. So if we just do it, then it will all happen. It'll all come. Just do the process. Let it happen. Your love will grow and grow and grow. And ultimately, it'll take over. Like a fire. You start a fire. I was watching some farmers in Mayapur after they harvest the mustard, and they take the stalks from the mustard plants and put them in this big pile, and they light a fire, one little fire on one corner. And it starts to burn, this little fire, big pile of mustard stalks. It burns and burns. Finally, the whole thing is going. But it starts out just a little fire. You see? So our devotional service, our love for Krishna is like that. It may start out a little fire, a little flame, but it will engulf you. All right. Anything else? Yeah, one more.
Hare Krishna. You are giving example of cleaning the Krishna's yard or Gaurnita's yard. I'm just thinking the same example. One difficulty which I face when I goes through the situation, everybody is allocated some departments that they think that this is my prerogative service is this is the department. I have to take care of this place and that. And going into others' zone will we may feel difficulty to do that part also. We think, my allocated zone is this, and I do this very nicely, and that is only my service to Krishna, and that part is for someone else. So let it be there. So that this is the one obstacle which is making me. Although we know that this is something has to be done at the moment, but this is not allocated to me, so I am not going to do it. This is the thought process which goes generally. So if you could help us.
It works that way, but is that the proper way? The proper way could be that we see, oh, the yard needs to be cleaned up. Well, he's in charge of that, but I'm going to go to him and volunteer. Prabhu, I know you've probably noticed, but the yard is all messed up. I volunteer to pick it up. He may say, no, that's my job. It's okay. Thank you for noticing. You can go. Off you go. But he may say, oh, yes, well, yeah, if you like, yes, go ahead. You go help, and you go help him. So that you can take it through proper channels. But I want to do it. But I'll take it through proper channels. I'll go to him. This is your service area. I noticed it, and I'm volunteering to pick it up, clean it up. Do I have your permission?
One more obstacle which I think in my mind is, if I do that service also, I'll get less time for hearing and chanting. So let me more focus on that side. Because that gives more advancement, it seems. So not this. So this looks little less. We feel that way in my mind. So if you could tell how can
people may think like that. If I do devotional service, that'll take away time from my hearing and chanting. But someday they will mature. That's immature. That's immature thinking. That's like the soldier. The soldier he's practicing with his rifle. Trying to get good, to hit the target. All day, and then someone comes up and says, we need to go fight the enemy. The enemy's coming. We need to fight. And he says, but that'll take away from my practice. That'll take away from my training. So in one sense, it's kind of a correct statement. But no, we don't think like that. It'll take away from my hearing and chanting. Well, your hearing and chanting should get you to the point that you're ready to go on the front lines and serve. But hearing and chanting is also service. That's true, but personalize it. Let's personalize it. What if there really are gods on the altar? What if there really are godly personalities on the altar? Gornitai. What if they really are awake and they can see the dirty yard? Now, come on. If you bring them into the situation, would you rather sit and chant, hear and chant? Or would you disturb your hearing and chanting to go clean up their yard if you knew that they were part of this? If they're far away and they're not looking, then I can say, but I'd rather hear and chant. Get him to clean up the yard. But if you think of Gornitai or my beloved lords, they're with me all the time. This is what I've been hearing and chanting for. To have this feeling that I want to spontaneously serve them. This is what we're training for. You can hear and chant while you're picking up the garbage. Put on, if you want to hear a class, put on some earbuds. Listen to kirtan. You can listen to class. You can chant. See? Devotional service is no disturbance to hearing and chanting. Okay? All right. I think I've kept you all long enough. Thank you very much for your patience. It's so good to be back at ISKCON Newtown. So, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.